Morning HMS 7, it's great to see everyone back here today. It's great to see our Thursday group here. Can't wait to see everybody again next week. Hey, we're kicking back off Jumpstart again after a couple of days off to get ready for our 6-week changeover. At this moment, I'd like you just to briefly reflect on what habits are, and I would like you to reflect on the good and the bad habits that you possess. What are some good and what are some bad habits that you practice every single day, and also think what a habit is. Hopefully with that very brief reflection, habits are things we repeatedly do every single day. The goal of Jumpstart is to reflect on good habits, to practice good habits, and to talk about good habits. Again, we always start off with being proactive, which is the most important habit, and that's why we start with it. It's like the root of a tree. You've got to have strong roots in order to grow. Being proactive is developing those strong roots in order to grow. This is when you run into a problem, you find a solution, you don't quit, you try something that doesn't work, you try something else. Put first things first, prioritizing your big rocks and then your little rocks. Beginning with the end in mind is having that end goal, something you stick your flag in the ground for. Maybe it's a successful career. I don't know that you're going to know your career when you're in 7th grade, but we'd like you to be successful when you get into that in life. Win-win, we're finishing up January with that. We'll get into a listening philosophy next, probably before the end of January. That's helping other people out in order to help yourself out. It's that philosophy that there is abundance of things in this world that we can all share in, and we can all agree to share in those and helping one another out. Seeking first to understand, we'll get into synergize and then sharpen the saw. Again, these are the 7 habits of highly effective people. We like to reflect on these habits because, again, habits are things you repeatedly do. And it's that simple. I want you to reflect on this. What happens if you repeatedly practice good habits? And what happens if you repeatedly practice bad habits? I'll let that sit for a second. Reflect on that. As with all things, to practice good habits, you have to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset is a belief that through time and effort, one of those avenues, through time and effort, I will improve and grow at anything I do. I am a firm believer that you can improve at anything through time and effort. Will you be the best at it? Maybe not, maybe so. But through time and effort, you will improve and grow. Also ask yourself questions. If you're putting in that time and effort, you don't feel yourself getting better, ask questions of yourself. What have I not tried? What else can I do? Again, I am a firm believer, and I hope you are too, that growth mindset, we can improve and grow at anything. Also understand that when you're struggling a little bit academically, intellectually, whatever it is, that's a positive. That's how we grow and have a purpose. Have a purpose with every single thing you do. Wake up, have a purpose for coming to school, have a purpose for talking to people, have a purpose for all the work you do. We're going to close this Jumpstart out with Dr. Martin Luther King, who's a great example of a win-win philosophy. You know who Dr. Martin Luther King was? He was a man that dedicated himself to civil rights. He dedicated himself to ending the segregation of races in America. He dedicated himself to dedicated himself to love, conquering hate. Also dedicated himself to making sure we have voting rights for everyone, and dedicated himself to make sure holding politicians accountable to the words that are in the Constitution. His win-win was helping other people out, helping people what he calls see the light. One of my favorite quotes of his is taking that first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. You can reflect that back on school. You might not see the whole staircase as you're working through your classes and working through your day. Have a little faith, take that first step. But Dr. Martin Luther King was a great example of a win-win philosophy. He chose to help other people out. He helped himself out through his efforts. He eventually lost his life. But through his efforts, we have greater equality in this country. Through his efforts, he held politicians accountable for following the words in the Constitution. It's a great win-win philosophy. Try to practice that throughout life, throughout your day. Find ways to practice win-win. Find ways to help each other. It's great to see everyone back in this building. We'll love you. We'll see you around today.